Let's get salty!
Everyone, Zeddy here again today with a brand new video, and today we are going to take a look at my bold predictions for what's going to get nerfed, maybe some buffs and all of that, in what we are expecting to be a rather large balance patch this week, which we already know like Gadget's Auctioneer has got a big target on its head, and the Twist Warlock nerfs are probably coming too, so those will probably be pretty safe picks. But we're going to go over what I think will get changed for Standard, Twist, and maybe Wild. Probably not Wild, but we'll talk about all of that. And we still have our giveaway going on for this Cthulhu portrait. 2 of them out of my pocket. All you have to do to enter that giveaway, like and comment in the video description below. Be subscribed to the channel. We'll be announcing the winners in 2 days on the September 27th video, so get in there before it's too late. So looking at HS replay across all ranks, you'll see Standard has a pretty large divide between the bottom and the top with Death Knight, Demon Hunter, Mage, although it's really not that great an indicator considering like Mage is one of the best decks in Top Legend, Naga Mage, which we'll talk about. It's been super complained about. But yeah, Hunter, Warrior, Warlock, Paladin, all top. We look at the actual meta though, in like the Legend ranks, we've got like Thaddeus Warlock, Arcane Hunter, Control Warrior, Mech Rogue, and Rage Warrior all up there. And if you go to the top 1000 Legend, that's where you start seeing like Naga Mage, which there's a lot of complaints about, and Miracle Druid already getting to that top tier status, and thankfully that deck is probably going to die. With regards to Wild and Twist, well, we all know Warlock really broken in Wild, Warlock really broken in Twist, so we'll probably talk a little bit about Warlock. So going into the predictions, I don't think Death Knight gets a single nerf. Why would they? I could imagine they'll probably just up the whole plague thing again, and I honestly don't know what more you can do besides making this like 10 mana, making it easier to cheat out. They could go a bit bolder and like just take the Frost rune off and make these like purely, you could just go triple unholy. That is a possibility. And really outside of that, I don't know what else you're going to do with Death Knight, because the other thing that I actually would really like to see, and I don't know if it's possible, maybe allow them to discover triple rune cards again. There's a lot more cards in the pool, and Death Knight has fallen so far behind that maybe you can allow them to discover triple rune cards, but I imagine something along the lines of those cards get buffed. Demon Hunter is actually pretty good at higher legend, like Relics, Outcast. I don't think anything gets nerfed, and I'm just going to throw it out there. I don't think anything gets buffed. I think Demon Hunter stays as is. Druid, I don't think gets a class card nerfed. We know Auctioneer. We'll talk about that in a bit. But honestly, I don't think they're going to hit any of the Titans cards. Like the Eonar and the Drum Circle thing is pretty degenerate, but the win rate on it isn't completely out of control, so they might leave that as is. And yeah, I don't expect an actual Druid card to get changed. I'm gonna go out on a limb, and even though Hunter's really like, really good, I don't think it gets nerfed. It's been nerfed so much lately, and I just really don't know what you do outside of like maybe make this a bit more expensive so it's not 0 as reliably, but it is rarely played for 0 to be fair. I just don't think Hunter gets hit. I do think in Twist though, it will, mainly because Hunter is an actual outlier. It's one of the only top tier decks, and they got to nerf all of them if they want Twist to have a somewhat balanced format. And it really comes down to the Trial Jormunger's high roll of the Asimov Dread Scale. Maybe make this 6 mana, make it a little bit slower, more unreliable, or maybe make it beast in your deck that costs 2 less and make this 4 mana or something, like rework it a little bit. But this is the card that I think has to get adjusted for Twist. For Mage, although Rainbow Mage is a very solid deck, and honestly Sif should be like 7 mana or something like that, I don't think she gets hit yet, but Mage will get hit. I'm certain of that. I expect Reverberations to finally get hit. This also affects Warlock, of course, but it is so ridiculous at 3 when you make cards like Titans and Colossals that just get punished so heavily by this card. I think at 4, it's still a good card. It's still relevant. That's how ridiculous it is 3, and I just think it would be absolutely silly if they don't bump it up to 4. Spitelash Siren is like out of control at high legend. The pros are complaining about it a lot, and it's not even a new card. It's back from Sunken City. It's over a year old. It got nerfed, it got reverted. I think it goes back to a 5 mana 2/6. I think they're going to do that, and it won't affect most people, but the high legend players will be a lot happier. And I would be very shocked to see any Mage cards get buffed. Paladin, definitely not going to get nerfed. I'm just going to keep saying it until it happens, and maybe it'll never happen, but Stoneheart King, I think this goes to 3 mana 3/2. I still don't get why it's 4 mana. Like, it's pretty busted at 3 mana. Don't get me wrong, but It's 2023 Hearthstone. Isn't everything busted? And yeah, 3 mana 3/2 that gives you a 2/2. That's pretty good, and it can get even bigger. I don't know. It just seems weird that we're playing a 4 mana 3/2 in 2023 when every class does such broken stuff. So I'll go with that buff for Paladin, but no nerfs going to that class. Priest, I don't think gets a nerf. I don't think it gets a buff. It's doing pretty well with control and undead, and I think the class is in a pretty good spot. Rogue, Mech Rogue is way too good. And I think if you're nerfing a bunch of stuff, it just gets better. They got to hit something. I'll just mention the Spark bots. I think one of them, the stealth one in particular, will get a nerf of going to stealth for 1 turn, because that is just such a frustrating experience. If it was up to me, I'd take Wind Fury out of it entirely, but I feel like they want games to end. They want lethality for Mech Rogue and Mech Deck, so I think Wind Fury sticks, but I feel like the stealth at the very least should be changed. And if you look at Mulligan outliers, Coppertail Snoop is like the best deck or best card in the deck outside of the 1 mana 1/1 Divine Shield, which you'd expect. It's a 1-drop that's hard to kill, but this second best card, I could see this going to 4 mana, right? Like, it's 3 mana, gain a mana. It's like negative mana, which is like what Rogue loves to do, but like, I don't know. I'd bump this by a mana or something, because like a stat change, is that really doing much? You're still cheating that mana, you're still getting some burst. I feel like this going to 4 might make some sense with the Sparkbot change. Could slow Rogue down just a little bit. If it was up to me, I'd nerf Memoron to be like, I don't know, 4 mana or something, but they love their snowball legendaries with high health. We saw that with the Priest reveal too, and I don't think it gets changed, but this is the card I would love to hit. In regards to Twist, J Telegram's gotta get changed, whether it's 4 mana, hell, 5 mana, I don't care. This card absolutely needs to get nerfed for the fact that card advantage is such a big deal in Twist, and you can play this for 1 mana with prep. It is just absurd. It's way too strong. I'd expect that. And of course, the Scarab Lord, in particular, the Gong, I could see this going to a death rattle where you have to destroy it, but they could also put it to 1 health, accomplishing the same thing. Either way, Scarab Lord and J Telegram are the cards that really stand out to me. And no, I'm not expecting Rogue buffs. Rogue is doing perfectly fine. Shaman is doing well in standard, wild, all that stuff. I'm not going to predict wild specific nerfs. I feel like the nerfs I'm going to predict for Twist are going to hit wild anyways. But yeah, Shudderwalk Shaman, I mean, and like Flash of Lightning should probably be banned and all of that in wild. I don't have faith that they're going to, you know, actually help wild out. They just don't do that. So in terms of Shaman, I don't see anything changing. No buffs, no nerfs in any format. Warlock, really good in standard, really good in wild, really good in twist. You know what that means. It's probably going to get nerfed. Forge of Wills is probably the best card, but I feel like it's the new card. They're not going to nerf that right away. And Sargeras, I feel like is fine when it comes down for 9 mana, but it rarely seems to do that. So ultimately, comes to Symphony of Sins, I don't want to see this card go back to 6. It really sucked at 6. Sargeras didn't exist back then when that happened, but the other effects feel really bad at 6. The one that feels bad is the mana cheat one. So maybe just rework the mana cheat one, where it just, I don't know, it draws a minion that costs 5 or more and cheats it for less, or something along those lines. Make it so you can't specifically tutor out Sargeras unless you build your deck really hard around it, which is going to hurt you a lot because you can't run the Gigafins, you can't run the big undeads, you can't run all that stuff. You'd have to run just Sargeras to get that Symphony high roll. It might not be worth it. You could just have it draw any minion. That could work too, which would probably be really frustrating to hit an armor vendor, which would make it really bad. Or yeah, you make Symphony of Sin 6 mana because it didn't exist in a world with Sargeras before, and maybe that's good enough. But then again, you could still tutor Sargeras and get it out for dirt cheap. I just feel like it should scam a big minion, but maybe not necessarily, you know, Sargeras. And this card's getting nerfed. I mean, it's the most obvious safe prediction out there other than Auctioneer. This card's gonna get hit. I imagine these numbers flip. 3 and 2. You could also just look at drawing 1 card, but that discard effect can be really powerful. So I would go with 3 and 2. 3 mana, 2 uses, or 1 card. So it's 1 card, 2 durability or something. It's got, the durability is way too high. The mana cost is way too good. The amount of cards it draws is insane for such an old format that has like very little card draw outside of Sprint. It's got to get gutted. It can't be a minor change. So yeah, flipping 2 numbers or like having its effect is absolutely warranted. And Tiny Knight Evil, why did they buff this card? You don't kill it on turn 2. When it comes down, you lose. You're dead. You have to kill this minion, and that's a horrible feeling. Like, that shouldn't exist, especially again in a lower power format like Twist. I expect it to be reverted, although, to be fair, this is a Caverns of Time card. It's a reprint, so maybe they won't revert it fully. I'll throw that out there. Maybe it goes to +2/+1, +1/+2. I feel like they're going to still want to sell that better reprint, so maybe it doesn't get fully changed. But this card absolutely has to get hit. And I can't believe I'm gonna say this, but yes, I think Warrior's finally gonna get nerfed. It's been buffed like over 20 times. And no, I don't think it's gonna get buffed. And I do think it is arguably the best class in the game. And I just feel like if everything else is getting dialed back, especially things it's weak against, like those combo decks we're talking about, something's gotta give. And I don't think we're gonna get another like Warrior Massacre. I feel like they will just do a minor adjustment. They're aware of the optics of how bad it's going to look to nerf Warrior, but they kind of have to. So I would expect Trial by Fire to go back to 7. This card was good at 7. This was a pretty darn good card, but Warrior wasn't good enough, and they bumped it to 6. It'll suck for the Even Warriors, but you know what? Even in Wild, Even Warrior, a lot of the lists don't even run Trial by Fire, so it's not even that big a deal. But yeah, I would expect it to go to 7. I don't expect a big change to Warrior, but I do expect they have to nerf something, considering they're literally nerfing everything Warrior is weak against. It could get a little bit out of control. I don't think we'll see any buffs, but I will say, I do think we will see a nerf to Warrior in Twist, because again, it's one of those top three decks. You have Hunter, Rogue, Warlock, or sorry, 4 top tier classes, and Warrior, right? And if you're looking at Caverns of Time cards, the 2 best performing cards are Blast from the Past, but this card's really cool. I don't know, maybe I'm just like biased, but I feel like it was what Boon Scheme should have been. Don't touch it. The other really good card in Twist is actually Ivory Rook. The amount of armor you gain for 4 mana plus the value of the taunt you can curve into pretty reliably. I think this goes to 5 mana. I think they can hit that, but if they do end up hitting like Blast from the Past, that wouldn't surprise me at all. Those are kind of the 2 cards that really stand out, and I don't think they're going to revert Iron Juggernaut, because this card's actually seen play. It's a little bit busted, to be for sure, but at least it's like 6 mana. Your opponent has to draw the mines and all that, but those are kind of the cards to look out for. But I do think Warrior has to get adjusted for Twist as well. And lastly, for neutrals, again, I'll just throw Drone Deconstructor out there, because I do think it'll get hit by the Sparkbot change that I think is needed. I really do. I think they just create such an awful feeling. Yeah, we know pretty much Auctioneer basically guaranteed to get hit. They've already kind of tweeted it. I really hope that it doesn't just go to 7, because that might just be the same problem. Like, it might still come out way too quick. I'd either make it like 8 or 9 or rework the card. I saw a really cool idea in my comments that I tweeted out of, like, make it 5 mana, but like Spell Burst, draw 3. Right? Like almost a neutral nourish in today's game is probably fine, and it's not just an infinite loop of cards. But this card absolutely needs to get changed, not just for standard, but for Wild as well. So I mean, that change is most certainly coming, and I don't believe any neutrals I would really think would get nerfs, even if some of these might come out a little bit too early for 0 mana. So those are my predictions. Let me know in the comments below what you think will get nerfed, maybe what you would like to see get buffed, what you agree with, disagree with, and I'm sure we'll find out in like a day or 2, or maybe later today, on what those changes will actually be. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Have a great day, and stay salty, my friends.